When you think about losing weight, that's probably what you hear. Rada, Zepbound, Wegovy. When it comes to peptides, I would say that it's a tool to get you to where you are. And then there are different peptides, right? The GLPs are designed to help you lose weight specifically. Then we have peptides that are longevity peptides. They help with your skin. Peptides are not all about losing weight. There's also longevity.
There's a ton of trends now, especially with social media, where people are just injecting whatever just because their friends or their spouse is using it, right? But what if it harms them?
Right.
What if their biology just goes against it?
Yeah.
Now you end up at the hospital.
Right. Because you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in your body is actually going to do more good than harm.
At the end of the day, get a customized plan, know exactly what your body is built for, and then execute.
Exactly.
Hey guys, welcome back to Level Up Podcast. This is Paul Alex. And guys, we are top 3 right now in the US. What category, Emilio?
Entrepreneurship.
Top 3 in entrepreneurship. And as you guys remember, my producer Emilio, right there behind the scenes, the guy with the plan that makes all the magic happen. And we are 8 in what category?
Business.
In business. There you go, guys. I mean, oh my God, I can't keep track. But anyways, we are on the top 10 because of you. And I want to thank you guys. So leave a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure to check out our brand new YouTube channel as well. But anyways, enough of the show. Let's get into the actual interview. Guys, I want to introduce you to Dora Maria. So Dora, she is a Bay Area native, Yay Area, okay? My hometown. I love the Bay Area, guys. And she is representing big time. She is a Berkeley graduate, so she got the smarts. And now she is helping people optimize their health, guys. So you guys are going to learn everything about not only transforming your health, your mindset, but also what you guys should know about peptides. That's right. You heard it right. Peptides. And we have Dora Maria here to explain absolutely everything. Dora, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Paul.
How does it feel?
Oh, it feels exciting.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how's Miami been for you?
Oh, it has been great. I love the vibe. Definitely when I, was pulling up on my plane, all I could think about was that song "Welcome to Miami" by Will Smith.
That's it. That's it. You know, like I was saying in the beginning, I came back to Miami in 2017, and all I remember is Nicky Jam, reggaeton, and people were like, "You like reggaeton?" I was just like, "Dude, it's the vibe."
Yep.
It's Miami. So, so let's get into it. So you have a wonderful story of transitioning since you were a kid here with your family and the process that you went through in your health journey as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, wow. When I read your story, I was just like, this is going to be a game changer, especially for this show, because if right now, guys, you guys are listening and you guys are having issues with losing weight or thinking that you will never get fit, this is definitely going to be a story that you guys are going to want to lock into. So, Dora, you spent 15 years fixing healthcare for other people, and you were an executive in healthcare, and you still ended up in the back of an ambulance. Walk me through that ride. Give us some context on that.
Okay, well, I will say that usually the folks that are providing healthcare for patients, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner sometimes. It's mostly because of the work, the passion that goes into that type of work, and the type of hours you put into that work. And I am, no different than anyone else, where we pour ourselves into the work that we do. We find meaning in almost identity from that type of work that I, like most people, I ended up not doing all the things I know I should do. Go to the gym, eat healthy, drink your water, go to get your physical annual exams. I was skipping them. And I had health care. It was down the hall, right? And I let myself, I put myself in a position where my health started to take a toll on me. The pounds started adding up. Next thing you know, I started getting metabolic conditions, sleep apnea, pre-diabetic. I ended up gaining 50 pounds, hormone imbalances. I mean, it just started taking a toll. What started adding to that were the mind-gut, relationships, which is depression, anxiety. And it was 2 years of me going back and forth to the hospital. And I would like to say, like, maybe about the 5th ride I'm going in, it was with uncontrolled hypertension. I had been on medication, but it was uncontrolled. I think my numbers were pretty high up there. They were like 170 over, 100. It was quite bad. I thought I was going to have a stroke. And in that moment, sitting in the ambulance, I said, what the hell am I doing? Here I am working in healthcare, in a management, healthcare leadership role, helping people, but I haven't helped myself. And when the doctors came back, they're like, nothing's really wrong with you. I mean, you're pre-diabetic, you have fatty liver. I mean, this is all normal stuff. And you have hypertension. I mean, you just need to go back to your PCP and actually take your medication because you're not a compliant patient. I just take it. Stop it. I didn't think I needed it. I didn't want to be on medications. They're like, you just have to take the medications and you need to work out more and eat healthier. Sure, but they're not helping me do it because there was something underlying in me that wasn't taking that step. And what was it? The decision. Making that decision. So, you guys, if you're listening to this, really it comes down to making a decision. You hit a breaking point and you have to decide you're going to change because the doctors can tell you, my husband was telling me, my mom was telling me what I needed to do, and I wasn't doing it. And I decided then and there in that last hospital ride, I need a change. And that's what I did. It just was a decision. And that led me to really trying to understand. So I went outside of the health system and I worked on myself. I went and ordered labs. I started doing functional health tests on myself. I got certifications, on health and wellness coaching and with a weight loss specialty. And I became my first client and I designed a system for me.
Wow. So that's quite a transition to go ahead and have your back against the wall because you went through health complications. And that had a big aha moment for you. How old were you during that time?
39. This was last year.
So 39 happened last year, which is great to hear a story like this because it's so relatable. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people in their 30s and, that's where you start seeing, man, that person's really in bad shape. Or they're actually, wow, you take good care of yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Usually in your 20s, you can't tell, right? Just genetics. Everybody's like, doing their thing. But so that happens. You go ahead and create your own program. What made you decide to take it into your own hands instead of just not going to like another health coach or let's say someone else that already has the expertise?
Well, I had already tried going through through the health system for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And I, quite frankly, the trust in others was completely gone. I didn't want to put my life in my hands and anyone else anymore.
And why do you think that, I guess you could say there's a lot of unreliable resources out there? What was some of your experiences where you're like, hey, I tried for 2 years, but it wasn't working?
I saw specialists, gastroenterologists. I mean, I went the whole nine. I did so many different tests, and it goes back to technically nothing was wrong with me based on the tests that are designed to diagnose disease. See, I had what is considered a metabolic condition. It's not a disease that can lead to death, right? Like where I need to be seen in the hospital or it's cancer. Thank God, right? But there are these conditions affect you and your life, right? So I wasn't living my best life. My quality of life was not great, but I was living. I was surviving. And surviving in the healthcare system is okay because that's what it's designed for. It's designed to help diagnose disease. And I think that's why there is a movement in healthcare overall now. There's a lot of prevention, but there's not so much of the optimization type. And that's what we're seeing a lot right now in the industry, which is a switch to really, optimizing your health and talking about those things. But the reality is that I just didn't trust what was out there. There was a lot of information, and I couldn't tell what was good, what was bad. All I knew was my experience, and to no discredit to the doctors that I spoke to and that met with me, because they did what they had to do. It's just that system is designed for something else. It's designed to make sure I'm not having a heart attack. It's designed to make sure I don't have any other diseases that will put me in the hospital or have anything more serious. And metabolic conditions are technically, they're not that serious, when it comes to getting treated. But it was serious for me. It was serious for me in how I felt. I was not confident. I have extra 50 pounds. I couldn't lose it. And it wasn't for lack of trying. I mean, let me tell you, I was going to Orange Theory. I was eating, proteins. I was doing keto. I did the anti-inflammatory Mediterranean diet. I mean, I was trying. It wasn't for lack of effort. It's just that my biology was just built differently. And especially for women after 30s, going into your 40s, your body just changes. And now hormones come in, and that's a whole different ballgame. So it was difficult. And the system just wasn't designed for that. And I think that's why we're seeing, more health coaches pop up in the industry. And that's why we're having a conversation about peptides and how that's also changing, the game and the industry as well.
Yeah. And what is your opinion on peptides? Do you believe that peptides is doing more good than harm right now? Because I hear both sides of the story, but what's your opinion on peptides just in general?
Well, peptides are as good as, the user is in following the guidelines, right? I wouldn't recommend a GLP to everybody. I mean, folks are talking about, I want GLP, I want to lose 10 pounds. I wouldn't recommend it for someone who's just trying to lose 10 pounds.
And Dora, just because we probably do have a lot of beginners or people that are not used to the jargon, right? GLP, they're like, what is that? So what would be some other terms like Retta or something like that?
Yeah, so GLPs are designed to help you lose weight, but they were initially created for diabetics that needed to lose weight. And so some of you may have heard them as Ozempic. You may have heard it as Wegovy, Zepbound, Mounjaro, or Retta, which is the newest one. And when you think about losing weight, that's probably what you hear. Retta, Zepbound, Wegovy. And for me personally, I actually used Zepbound for my journey. And I didn't use it for too long because when it comes to peptides, I would say that it's a tool to get you to where you are. And then there are different peptides, right? The GLPs are designed to help you lose weight specifically and to help normalize your blood sugar, and to also curb the cravings. And then we have peptides that are longevity peptides. They help you, glow. They, help with your skin, help improve collagen production. There's also the Wolverine stack that helps with improving tissue regeneration. If you've had an injury, if you're an athlete, those are really great. For those that are in recovery from, any accidents, those are like BPC 157 are great. There's a lot of peptides out there that are not for weight loss, and I think that's where there's a confusion in the information that we have out there, that it's not about peptides are not all about losing weight. There's also longevity, and I personally love peptides. I feel like it changed the game for me, but it also came down to understanding my biology around it. And what I mean with biology, it's about getting a DNA test and getting labs, because you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in your body is actually going to do more good than harm. And what I mean by that, if it's someone that has had, thyroid cancer or has high thyroid lab count, it's not really recommended. Or there are other labs that can indicate that this is not good for a specific individual, and a different approach is required. So I'll say this with everyone, it's a customized approach. There's no one size fits all. I don't want to say, hey, you get on Retta and this is a whole program around Retta. No, it's all based on an individual. So I wouldn't recommend for any of my clients to start with a GLP if the goal is to lose a certain amount of pounds. It really depends.
Yeah. So let's say that, somebody comes to talk to you, especially after listening to you on this podcast, and they're like, well, I'm sort of interested in what you're talking about with peptides, because you're making it seem like, not making it seem, but there is peptides almost for everything to
there
get
is.
optimized, right? So based on that, where should a beginner start? Like, what would be the first, like, let's say 3 steps before somebody starts injecting peptides into them?
Oh, we'll definitely get to understand your biology. So for my clients, I recommend a DNA test and a lab panel, and to come up with a comprehensive health assessment from there, and then you can build a plan based on that.
And is this something as simple as like going to like your doctor, or do they have to go to a specialist? Like, how does this work for the average person?
So if you were working with me, like this is all done, it's accessible to you, so they would be mailed to you. So a DNA test gets mailed to you, and you take it at home. It's a swab, and then it's a prick on your finger to get a blood test, and then that gets sent to the lab. As far as the additional lab tests, it can be done anywhere near you. So I would find a local lab near your address, and then you could go in and get your lab drawn, and then we'll work on getting those results. So it's designed to meet you where you're at. You don't have to go see a specialist. My company has the health network embedded within us. So then once we get those results, we send it to our health network for a doctor to review those results. And then I will review that based on your background and the assessment that we get when we onboard you. And then we'll design a plan specifically for you.
That's great. It almost reminds me of those applications like Hims, Hers, where you're able to get different types of medications, and it's almost like it's a new wave of telehealth, right?
Right.
And I think that's where everything is going anyways, right? People want it faster, easier, and simpler, right?
Exactly.
So that's great. So let's dive a little bit more into your background and your story. So you came from Guatemala at the age of 6 years old.
Yes.
You lived in a garage while your mom was fighting breast cancer. Wow. Most people would say that's exactly why you work so hard. So what did that season of your life actually teach you that you had to unlearn later?
Oh, gee. Well, at the time, my mom was fighting breast cancer, and, she was getting chemo and all of that. So the reason we ended up having to live in the garage was because she needed to pay for the insurance and all the treatments that came across with it, because she didn't have the best insurance at the time. And there was a lot of money getting invested into her treatment. So we had to sell the house and moved to a garage until things got better. And so at the time, I remember thinking, actually, I was driving to to where we were going to live, and I was driving the 880. For those of you who are from the Bay Area, we're going 880 north. And, we were going to stay at my uncle's house in San Pablo for that weekend to kind of figure things out from there. And we passed by the University of California, Berkeley sign, that exit sign. And I told myself, I said, Mami, no se preocupe, don't worry. I'm going to go to Berkeley. I'm going to go get a degree, and you're going to be fine. We're all going to be fine. We're not going to be poor like this ever again. And that was just a statement you make as a 12-year-old, right?
Right.
But I really took it to heart. I'm like, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get us out. And I don't know, as a 12-year-old, I thought the world was on my shoulders, quite frankly. I was like, I got to make it. I got to make it because I got to make it. And I did go to Berkeley, right? I went and I got a degree in molecular environmental biology with a concentration in human health. I was all set to become a doctor. So I was on the pre-med track. I actually took my MCATs. I started applying to schools.
Wow.
I really went the whole nine. And then, I started getting secondary interviews, and I'm like, oh my God, this is real. Then I started getting my package about financial aid, and it was going to cost a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, really going back to, in the garage, it really ignited this whole passion for me about healthcare and the health systems. And it really established that framework of how I think, which is everything around the patient, the patient and the patient's family experience. And, that's what led me into healthcare. That's what made me want to go to med school. I took a year off once I started getting my financial aid packages, and it was going to take a whole lot of money. I was in a different place at the time. At the time when that was happening, my mom relapsed, actually.
Wow.
And she had lost everything here in California due to the recession. We're talking 2008, 2009. And
I was in Emeryville during that time.
Yeah. We were close. And so she moved back to Guatemala and restarted her life. And while she did that, I took a year off. And during that time that I had off, I ended up working at a community clinic, and my life changed. I worked as a patient navigator. I told myself just a year, kind of get my bearings, and I'm going to go back with a different framework to med school. I never went back. I decided I'm going to work in healthcare administration, and I want to change lives. I wanted to have a bigger impact on people. And I realized that being a doctor was going to allow me the opportunity to work with patients one-on-one. But what I really wanted was larger impact for the most people. And shout out to all the doctors. You all are amazing. You're doing God's work, seriously. But it just wasn't my path. It just was not my path. And I ended up going to work in healthcare, and I ended up working in a great, one of the best health systems. And I won't say the name, but I worked there for 10 years. And what I got out of that is we're all still battling with what the patient needs.
Right.
And that's the cornerstone of what I do now, is working with what the patients need now, and working in reverse engineering that piece.
Yeah, so being more proactive than reactive.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You said something to me earlier that really got me thinking, and you said, I know during our conversations earlier before the podcast, that you had realized you hadn't built financial freedom for yourself. And you'd built financial dependence on your career. Now, what I want you to do, okay, I want you to explain that to the guy or girl listening to this right now who just got a raise.
Okay. Well, what I was sharing with that is that we become very dependent on the career that we built, almost like our identity revolves around that. And I can say that very honestly, like my identity was my job.
Same. Law enforcement, same, 100%.
And what happens with that is just like, that's actually what gets you stuck in the American rat race, right?
American trap.
Yeah, the American trap. It's the rat race. And you think, okay, well, next year I get another raise. And they keep you kind of chasing that little piece of cheese. And it's not to discredit the system, because it's a great system that's designed to provide you with a lot of benefits. 401k, you get a set salary for those that don't like to, aren't, entrepreneurs that don't want to risk it all to gain it all. And, it's a different lifestyle, I'll say. But that kept me in a loop where I had to rely and depend on that job for everything. And it also got me comfortable. I hate to, it's about being vulnerable and being honest with everyone, right? So the guy or girl who's listening to this, you're comfortable in your job. You're getting your promotion. You just got a promotion. Your life is good. You're going to go celebrate, have some steak and some wine. Good for you, But also remember that that's also what keeping you at that level. And whatever greatness and whatever ideas you have for yourself is something you're not going to work on now because you're comfortable. And you're in a good space where you're happy, you feel valued. But the moment that you're no longer valued and you no longer get that promotion, or you get fired, God forbid, where are you going to go?
Yeah.
Right?
It's I have a really good friend that always says, if you only have one salary, you're only one step away from poverty. And that's so true, because I've seen family members, I've seen friends, I've seen associates just lose their livelihood and their identity.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt like I lost my identity in law enforcement back when I was doing it. And you got to grow from that.
Yeah.
You got to grow to the better version of yourself, right?
Yeah. And I think it's something that I read, I don't know where, but most Americans, we have a lot of credit card debt. We have a lot more liabilities than assets. We think we have assets, but we really don't.
Right.
Like, I have a mortgage. It's a liability because I have to pay the mortgage.
100%.
I don't have a home that I paid for.
Yeah.
I have a Tesla.
Yeah.
Also a liability.
Yeah.
Paying monthly on that. But I feel like, I'm rolling in my Tesla. I have my home.
You feel good.
It feels good. But you know what? I'm one, if I don't keep generating money, if I don't have the ability to do that, you're one step away from foreclosing, bankruptcy. if you lose something, right?
Yeah.
And that's what really hit me, and especially in a season where your identity is attached to a job, and now the season forced a change for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. To go back to the very beginning of the podcast where you ended up in an ambulance and it dramatically changed your life, where you had to take a different approach to a healthy lifestyle. How much weight did you end up losing when that happened?
Oh, well, it didn't happen overnight, but
Yeah.
I ended up losing 50 pounds total.
50 pounds. And was that one of the hardest times for you to actually lose that amount of weight? Because 50 pounds is a lot. I mean, I lost 40 pounds, 45 pounds back in 2024. And for me, I told myself this has to work or it has to work.
Right.
You have to come to a conclusion and just say like, you know what, it's me. I got to do this, right?
Right.
So what would you say? What was the season like during that transition for you?
I would say the hardest part was actually deciding to do it.
Really?
Yeah, for me. And it was because of where I was feeling. Like I was not coming into this transformational journey goal, because at the time it was a goal, from a perspective of like, I need to lose weight because I want to look better in pictures. Granted, yes, that is one of the factors that helped me realize that I wasn't where I wanted to be, because I was looking at pictures. I'm like, who the hell is this girl? That is not me.
Right.
What? Like, and really what it came down to is like making the decision. But once I found the program based on my biology, it actually went by smoothly.
Yeah.
Initially it was a little hard because I'm adjusting, and I say this that it went smoothly after I found also the peptide. Right, I did. Part of my process was to get on a GLP. I took Zepbound, and that there was a process of adjustment there.
Yeah.
And so the first month was hard, but I would say it was hard because I'm adjusting to it's a medication. It's designed to help you, but if you don't do what you're supposed to do, like drink water, electrolytes, and protein, and this all goes into the plan, because somebody could just inject themselves and still eat burgers and still eat like crap and drink alcohol, and you're not going to get results.
And there is people doing that.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's not a shortcut to just still live your life the way you're living it. You still have to change.
Right.
And unless your mindset, and that's why I said the hardest piece was deciding I was going to change.
Got it.
Because that made everything easier. It made it easy for me to eat a healthier meal.
Yeah.
It made it easier to say, I'm going to go for the protein shake. I don't need to have a burger, because I had made a decision. And so I think the biggest thing is that we need to decide and stick to it. And it's just like an alcoholic, and not to, everybody, who has been through that. It's just deciding that you have a problem.
Yeah.
Right? If you go to AA, what are you doing there? Well, you decided you're going to make a change. So that's why you're going to AA, and that's why you're doing that. And it's the same thing. It's the same framework, same mindset here, is deciding on doing it and then sticking to the plan after you do it, right? So that's really what happens with a lot of folks, is that we have this want, like, oh, I want to lose 15 pounds. I'm going to start this thing. But they didn't have a clear why and a clear decision. They had a want. And then they go back to what they were doing before, and then they're in the same back and forth. So you have to start with the beginning, which is make a decision and make sure your why is very important. My why was, I'm not going to be back in this ambulance again. I am not going to go through this depression, these hormonal issues, and being told that I have nothing wrong. There is no way in hell I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
My why was strong. So that why has to be strong so that you can stick to it. And then everything else is easier, It's still hard work, but it wasn't hard for me after I made that decision.
Absolutely. Dora, if someone was to ask you, do most people have a discipline problem or an information problem? What would be your opinion on that?
I think it's an information problem.
Why is that?
There is so much information out there. I mean, if we were talking about 10 years ago, the information would have been very different, right? Yeah. Now everything's at your fingertips. There's Google, you have AI, you have, social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I mean, especially now with all these health coach gurus, right? You have a lot of folks out there who can help you, claim to help you, and I'm sure they can help you. The reality is that there's just too much information. You don't know who's real, who's not, what information is correct, what information is not. Especially when it comes to peptides, people think that all peptides have to be FDA approved. Actually, reality is not all of them are approved, and neither is your supplement. Neither is your energy drink. I mean, that's a whole other, piece. I mean, my concealer isn't FDA approved. I mean, if we go down that path, you'll be hard pressed to find out most of the things you're using and putting in your body are not FDA approved.
I mean, in either way it goes, I mean, some of the things that is FDA approved, and I know just recently it hit the news where now there is synthetic meat being sold on a ton of restaurants that it's FDA approved. And you got to think about it like this. Like, I personally would want to know if I'm eating synthetic chicken at a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And they're not disclosing that. They're just going to be, it's chicken, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So at the end of the day, guys, just do your research. But that now takes me to my next question, now that you brought that up, and it's a very interesting topic, is people that want to try peptides, right? Let's say, and I think we're still in the very beginning of a gold rush. We're in a very beginning stages, guys. If you guys are first tuning in right now to this interview with Dora Maria about peptides, but right now we're in the humble beginnings of it. I started using peptides just about a year ago and it changed my life. But for the people that want to try peptides, but they're just scared to get the peptides from a, let's say, certified dealer or someone who they can trust, is there any tips that you can provide to the audience where you can say, hey, make sure to check X, Y, and Z before buying from anyone?
Yeah.
What would you tell them?
Well, I would say, make sure you find out what the source is and if they're coming from a 503A pharmacy approved.
What is that?
By the FDA.
What is that? What is a 503? Whatever you just said on there. I mean, break it down to the average person like me.
Okay, so all pharmacies have their designations, and the 503A designated pharmacies by the FDA are the ones that you would want to make sure your peptides are sourced from, because they actually go through third-party testing, and they're making sure you're getting the right concentration, the right dosage. So if you buy something that is not getting tested outside of a system like that, you're actually you don't know exactly what you're getting. Okay. So you may be paying for something that you may not be getting. And that's, for me, and my clients, that's where all our peptides are sourced from.
Yeah, so make sure that the peptides are actually getting tested.
Yep.
Is the key takeaway on that one.
That is the key takeaway.
And you want to verify that. So, okay, let's dive into what you're currently doing now. Now that you left being a healthcare executive, and now you have transitioned to now starting your own business, and don't kill the messenger. But I know there's going to be a lot of people going, well, what separates Dora from everyone else, right? Everyone got a program online, Paul. Everybody's a coach. What does Dora's system actually do that a diet and a gym membership doesn't? What would you say to that?
Well, I will say, you will see a lot of folks out there that are going to be saying they can help you. And the reality is that they can. But what separates me is that I work with high-performing professionals. And so if you're an executive, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in, middle management, that's what my focus is. And the piece that I can bring is that I understand how hard it is to work in those fields and what you are struggling with. And so what I can tell you is that I have programs that are designed to fit around your lifestyle. I'm not here with the goal of, necessarily helping you get the leanest and get abs and go up and, compete for a bikini contest. It's about identifying what program is for you that is going to sustain the life you have built, which is, a high performing career, family, and fitting a sustainable lifestyle that will allow you to be healthy and to be fit and hit your fitness goals without it requiring so much time and effort and many hours in the gym. Not everybody wants to go to the gym like so long. Not everyone wants to be in there for 2 hours. Not everyone needs to optimize. A lot of people just want to get healthy enough to live the life that they have. And so I come to you with the understanding of where you're at. I like to work smarter, not harder. And I also don't, I'm not a fitness coach. So I'm not coming with that framework. And it's really designed about finding the right step for you. And as I said earlier, it's going to be easy once you get your DNA test and your lab test, because we're going to find out what's going on with you. So this is not a cookie cutter system, right? It's not a generic diet. In fact, I'll share this since we were talking about it.
Of course.
A few years ago, actually 6 years ago now, in 2020, which is not the time anyone wants to have any emergencies, by the way, I was on the keto diet because I was trying to get ready for my wedding. And I lost 10 pounds in 10 days.
Wow.
But I ended up in the ER.
Uh-oh.
And, I was getting stomach pains, and I told myself, I was feeling like keto flu. This is the keto flu. I need to just work through it, keep going, Dora, don't stop. And then it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And finally I said, okay, I got to go to the ER. Turns out I had appendicitis.
Wow.
And what happened with me specifically, and I later found this out when I did my own DNA test, and it was in my DNA. My body is not designed to process high-fat diet.
Wow.
So it created a literal metabolic issue for me. And so appendicitis is not necessarily caused by high fats. It causes blockages, right? And so if I'm taking a lot of high fats in my diet within 10 days, I just did something crazy to my system, and it creates a blockage, right? And that's what led to my appendicitis, really. And I had to get my appendix out. So,
wow.
So this is what I speak about, right? Don't do generic diets that are not designed for you. Find out what's going on within your biology so that you don't end up doing more harm than good.
Yeah, because just because a diet might work for Dora, it may not work for me.
Right.
And it's the same thing that goes, and that makes perfect sense, Dora. I mean, I get it, because you're saying there's a ton of trends now, especially with social media, where people are just injecting whatever just because their friends or their spouse is using it, right? But what if it harms them?
Right.
What if their biology just goes against it?
Yeah.
Now you end up at the hospital.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So at the end of the day, it makes perfect sense. Get a customized plan, know exactly what your body is built for.
Yeah.
And then execute.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I love that. And what would you say, okay, and this is probably going to get a lot of people talking, which is good. But what would you say about the current healthcare system right now? What is it designed for? Is it designed to be proactive to optimize the person that wants to be optimized? Or is it for the person who is just trying to live and not get a heart attack or not to get cancer? Or what would you say? What is your thought process on that?
Well, it's the latter part.
Yeah.
It's I would say there are some healthcare systems, okay, so this is what I'll say. There are some healthcare systems acknowledging where we're at in the industry and making some strides against that exact perception. And it's not just perception, it's reality. The system is designed to diagnose disease and to ensure people are not dying.
Yeah.
Okay. So making sure I'm not dying is not the same thing as making sure I'm living the best quality of life.
Right.
That I could live, right?
Yeah.
And so that's very different, and that's why we're seeing a lot more wellness clinics, a lot more discussions around longevity. I could tell you my doctor was not interested in helping me not look 40, or feel 40, right? Because that was a me thing, and that's not a covered like insurance coverable, issue, right? That's something related to thriving versus surviving.
Right.
And just if I would put it in a nutshell, it's like the current healthcare system, and that's most systems everywhere around the world, not just the U.S. is they're designed to help you survive, not thrive.
Wow.
But if you want to thrive, this is where you find a coach and or a company or whatever that looks like that helps design the customized program for you. Because the reality is that cookie cutter systems are not going to cut it. They're not. They can help you lose probably your first 10, 15 pounds, and you might be doing more harm than good without you knowing because something's going on in your body that may be spiking up your hormones based on that system. And I could tell you another story around that. I was in, the gym working out at Orange Theory, which is known for high, intensity and getting your heart rate up really high so that you could burn fat and get in the orange zone. Well, guess what?
Orange zone.
That's the Orange Theory model. And I loved Orange Theory. It made me feel great. I got it done in the morning. I felt energized because exercise does that, right? And with my DNA test, I found out the best zone for me is actually in a lower heart rate for me to burn fat.
Yeah.
And so no wonder I was doing all the things. I was trying keto. That wasn't working. I was in Orange Theory working out so much. It was spiking up my cortisol and driving up my hormones. So what it was doing, it was like holding on to the fat. It's like,
It was doing like the opposite of what you were supposed to be doing. You're like, dude, why am I not dropping weight?
Right.
I'm doing the diet. I'm doing the exercise. I'm doing all this stuff that's supposed to get you shredded, but it's not getting me shredded.
Yeah. I mean, I did lose 10 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds, but like that's where I would be stuck. But I would do it in a very unsustainable way. I'm working out so hard. I'm gassing out. I'm tired. I'm like, sore. And I'm just spiking up my cortisol. Like I'm not seeing results, and I was stressed out of my mind. Right? I was going to the gym, 4 or 5 times a week. That's a lot. For a person in their career, it's like you're getting up earlier, you're getting in, you're doing a whole hour thing, right? It's a lot for no results.
Yes.
So I would say it's not a lot if you're getting results, but it is if you're not.
Well, let's take a deep dive into that thought process, guys. You said it is a lot if you're not getting results, but if you're getting results, it's not a lot. Explain that.
I would say effort should also be associated with outcome, which means results. I'm okay with putting in effort if it's going to get me results.
Equivalent to starting a business and cash flowing.
Right.
Now you're motivated. Now you're incentivized to keep pushing harder.
Exactly. And you're going to keep going. So if I'm working hard and, whatever, on my diet and my workouts, I'm getting results, cool, I'll keep doing it sustainable. Like it's giving me some dopamine, right? Like I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
But if it's not, I'm going to be, I'm going to be depressed, quite frankly. I'm not.
So what would you tell to all the people right now that are busting their butt in the gym? They're taking all these popular crazy diets that are not sustainable and they're just running on fumes right now. What would you tell them? What do they need to do right now based on Dora's advice?
I would say pause all that and give me a call. You need to get a system designed for you. I mean, you gotta work smarter, not harder. And by the sounds of it, if this is something that's resonating with you, that means you're working harder and not smarter, and you're not getting the results that you want.
So blood work, gut test, all that.
DNA test.
Figure it out, get the results, jump on a call with you, and then you're able to break it down exactly what their body needs.
Exactly.
And then you're able to prescribe whatever it is that they need, the supplements, the peptides, and all that jazz. And then that way, they don't have to go ahead and run on fumes.
Right.
It sounds sustainable. And it sounds something like I would want to buy because guess what? I don't got time.
Exactly.
I don't got time.
Most people don't have time, right? Yeah. And that's what we get into is like, and that's why it's not sustainable. To work so hard and not get results, or work so hard and get results, and then you have to keep working hard to keep those results, right? If you don't know what your body needs. And so I will say that time is money.
Of course.
Time is money. We hear it all the time, but nobody has time to be trying different things to figure it out. You know, I had tried it for 20 years and it didn't really help me, right? I ended up in the hospital. I knew all the right things. I was doing all the things. It wasn't from lack of working out or trying to eat healthy. It really wasn't. I was doing the wrong things.
Yeah.
I was following trends, you know, and that didn't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remarkable. I mean, you provided so much value that I got to sit with today and be like, look, I got to look at my life and I got to reorganize like what my health protocols are and what am I going to take, right? But Dora, for someone who's listening right now, what are a couple words of motivation? As you guys know, this is the Level Up Podcast. We are a self-help podcast for people that want to level up in life.
Right.
And it seems like you have leveled up tremendously. Good for you. I love to hear success stories. So for everybody that's watching right now that is currently battling health issues, that want to get fit, that want to live their best version of themselves, what are some words of advice that you would tell them if they were to go ahead and talk to you?
Well, I would first tell you you're not alone. You know, you are not alone. You're just stuck and you don't have the right plan. The reality is that many of us are in that position. Even though I'm, you know, where I'm at now, I'm still looking at ways to optimize myself and get better, right? But I do acknowledge that what you're feeling right now is a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, probably a lot of lack of motivation. And let me tell you, you don't have a motivation problem. You don't have a discipline problem. You have a problem of finding the right solution for you, right? And what I can do for you is get that data that you need from your body. It's already there. You're born. You're walking around with this blueprint already in your body that will tell you what your body needs. The body is remarkable. It does it has a great way of telling you what you need. Just like when you're feeling tired, you need to take a nap. When you have a headache, you know, you got to do something else specifically for that. And I will say, listen to your body. How you're feeling isn't how you should be feeling. If you're feeling off, something is off. And you should give me a call so that you can find out exactly what you need to do going forward.
That's right, guys. And like I always say, your network is your net worth. That is Dora Maria, guys. And Dora, where can people find you?
Oh, they can follow me on Instagram at Real Dora Silva, or you could also go to my website, shineforwardconsulting.com.
And we'll be dropping it in the description, guys. Guys, we are top 4 in business and top 8 in entrepreneurship because of you guys. Right now, we are currently towards the end of July 2026, guys, going into August. We are trying to hit number 1 again. We are back in full effect with 3 episodes daily, guys, and we're bringing other phenomenal entrepreneurs that are changing the world, just like Dora Maria. Make sure to check her out on her socials. With that being said, guys, leave a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, and share this with a friend, guys. It's going to change lives. Once again, guys, your network is your net worth. Dora Maria, Paul Alex. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.